Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Amy, the founder of Escape, the Cyber Escape Room Corporation. Emmy Stokes-Waters has had a diverse career journey, starting with a degree in English and French and transitioning into project management and later cybersecurity sales. She eventually co-founded Escape, the Cyber Escape Room Corporation, a company specializing in interactive and hands-on escape room activities for security awareness training, team building, and corporate events. Her innovative approach combines fun and learning, making her a trailblazer in the world of cybersecurity. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Amy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you would like to share with our audience?
I do. So my favorite quote is good things come to those who put the effort in. Um
Indeed.
yeah, so I always think people think the original quote I guess is good things come to those who wait, but if you're just sat waiting around for things to happen, you could be sat waiting for a long time. So I always think if you put some effort in, if you put yourself out there, if you try and make some connections, you go out there and put your face out there, then good things usually come your way.
Definitely, definitely. And it's a saying something like God only helps those people who help themselves, right?
Mhm.
In
Yeah,
a way.
exactly.
Great. So let's talk about where the story began. Where did the idea for escape room, the cyber escape room, came from?
I think it's just so I've been in the cyber industry for probably around 5 years now. And every time I talk to people about cyber training, they all say it's really boring. And it,
Mm-hmm.
it is inherently boring. I mean, I ran an event last week and I said to everyone, I had to do a talk, and I said to everyone in the room, put your hand up if you've done cybersecurity training, you've pushed play on the video, then you've gone to make a cup of tea, and then come back and hoped that the video had finished. And
Yeah.
nearly every single person put their hand up because it's
Yeah.
just it's a universal problem that kind of video based learning, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine and it has its place, but it's not the most interesting. And I wanted to do something that would engage people, that would get them excited about it, and that would actually help to build resilience in organizations. Because if you're making a cup of tea while that video is playing, you're not paying attention to it. So you're not learning anything. Whereas
No.
with this stuff that I'm doing, you have to be actively engaged in it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so hopefully you get some better learning outcomes out of the back of it because you are stood there actually physically involved in it.
Yeah, yeah. So am I correct to say that um, if I have a small startup with some let's say 10 members in the team, and I book a session with you, I have to bring all my team together to the escape room, or is it digital?
So it's a physical escape room, but you don't have to bring your stuff anywhere. We can send it to you. So it's portable.
Oh,
So it comes in a box. So we can send it out in a box and you can receive it in your office or in event space, wherever it is that you want to do it. You
hmm.
just need a table to run it on. Um, so yeah, it is, you do have to be together for it, but that's kind of the fun, and that kind of brings the team building part to it as well, which I think's important.
Awesome. That's wonderful because that removes all the hurdles of scheduling, getting team together at one place and all these things. Okay, I want to talk more about how it works. But before we go into that question, so when you had the epiphany, did you looked into the market? Were there other products? What was going on at the time, and what did you see from your research that encouraged you to move with ahead with this?
Yeah, so there are a couple of other companies that are doing a similar thing. So the police, they've created their own escape room. So the police services in the UK have got an escape room that's actually quite similar, but they only run it with police officers.
Hmm.
So it's not a commercial proposition, which is fine. But I also think, could the police officers be spending time doing other things that are more useful? Maybe. Um,
Hmm.
and then yeah, there's a couple of other commercial organisations that are doing something similar. So there's a company called CGI, but instead of theirs being portable, they've got a shipping container, and you have to go to the event rather than the event coming to you. So I think
Hmm.
that's where I kind of saw the differentiation in the market with what we're doing, making it portable.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, great stuff. So your USP is, um, uh, you don't have to come to the one location. You can run it on your own,
Mhm.
and I'm guessing you would need some kind of a facilitator for this, or it could be done by anybody.
Yeah, so it can be done by anybody. So when I send the escape room box out, I send a booklet out that explains the solution. It gives you hints. It gives you ideas for how to run the event. It gives you um, ideas for a workshop that you might run afterwards to kind of follow that to kind of cement the learning outcomes from the event as well. So the first escape room that we've got is all about password security. So I've
Hmm.
included a load of questions that you could then ask the participants about password security to get them thinking, okay, this is what I've just done, but how does that relate to my day job as well?
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. Okay, great. So I have a small team. I have a small startup, and
Mhm.
I would like them to be aware of all the cybersecurity loopholes, or any kind of things which could affect us, internally. What's the step by step process I should follow to get this for my team, and how do I do it?
What, to get an escape room?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we can just go on the website. So it's
Uh-huh.
cyberescaperoom.co. um,
Mm-hmm.
which loads of people think I've spelt my own website wrong because usually it's .co.uk or .com. It's not. The website is just .co. Um,
Oh,
yeah. So loads of people. Yeah. So you just go on the website, look at which scenario it is that you want to purchase, and then just drop us a message, and then we can get that sorted out for you straight away.
awesome. Okay, great. And then let's say how many days it takes to get to me. 5 days.
We can probably turn it around within 5 days.
Okay, great stuff. So once I have it, what are the next steps?
So once you have it, you'd have the facilitate whoever's bought it, who's going to facilitate it. They would read through the booklet and just check that they understand what's going on with it. Make sure that they've kind of got the setup. So the setup instructions are in the box as well. But everything should come fully charged. So it's got a laptop in there and a phone in there, but that should all be fully charged. But we do send the chargers out, etc. And then yeah, you just pick a time that you want to run it yourselves. If you've got any problems or any questions in advance, you just drop us a message and we'll obviously get back to you. But yeah, you can run it. You can run it as many times as you like, and then you just post us it back.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. And can I share it with other teams also on my floor, or how does it work? What?
Yeah, so once you've borrowed it for the month, you can share it with we can share it with other people in your organisation. So at
Mhm.
the moment, I've got a team from the Ministry of Defence have borrowed one for the month.
Mhm.
So they're currently running it. I think they've got 40 people they want to do it with. So they're doing it in teams of 5. So I guess the guy's running it 8 times across the month.
Yeah. Okay. So when you okay, so what's the revenue model you're following it? So you mentioned borrowing. So do can I rent that kit, or is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can either we can either come on site and run it as an event for you. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll turn up and we'll bring so if you've got larger teams, this works best. So if you're running an event as a business, then we'll bring loads of boxes with us and we'll set it all up and you can run it as an event and we'll walk around and facilitate it.
Yeah.
Or you can buy a box and keep it because if you think you might want to run it multiple times across the year, then that's fine. You can do that. Or you can borrow it for the month as well and send it and then just send it back after the month. I am currently trying to build a subscription model for it because we've got new scenarios that are coming out. So he said if we've got new scenarios, then we can build it as a subscription model. But
Mhm.
that will not be happening until January, I don't think. Just getting the building blocks in place for that.
Indeed, indeed. Okay. So, from a founder's perspective, then, would you be able to tell our listeners about how much time it took you to take it from an ideation phase to, for example, making your first sale? And what did you do during that time?
Yeah, so I think we came up with the idea in January and we first sold one in August. So it was 8
Hmm.
months between the idea kind of being conceived and us getting a first customer. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of it was so we did quite a bit of market research to start with. We had to build a couple of prototypes. Luckily, we'd bought some space at an event and we took a prototype with us there and we tested it out with a few people. We got some students doing it. We talked through the concept with a lot of people, got feedback on it, refined things, had our friends and family testing it out. Usual. Here, can you
Yeah.
help my brother to
Yeah.
have a go?
Research. Your
It's
guinea pigs. Yeah.
it's a difficult one to kind of test out yourself because you know the answers to it.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can test it from a phase of not understanding it at all. So yeah, I've had to borrow lots of my friends' brains to kind of test it out. But yeah, it was difficult, but it's been a fun journey, I think. And then the like the new ones that we're building, they're taking a lot less time because we've kind of got the concept right now, I think.
Right, right. Okay. So you have created a framework, a conceptual understanding, a blueprint in the sense. And
Hmm.
now, because you have the understanding of how different scenarios work out, you're creating kits for different scenarios. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool because now there's no limit. You can actually create it for any number of n number of scenarios, right? I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the most difficult bit is coming up with the storyline. So we don't want it
Mm-hmm.
to be it obviously needs to somehow relate to work in some way. But
Mm,
it also we don't want it to be too true to life. So it needs to be a bit exciting and a bit left field because then I think
mm.
it makes it a lot more memorable when it's like that.
Yeah, yeah, and if the story is relatable, then it's definitely something.
Hmm.
For example, there are some founders whom I interviewed. They mentioned about they have a SaaS startup because they produce the product in house with the engineers. Once they get traction, they get PR. The hackers from China, from Russia,
Mm.
they attack them on a regular basis,
Yeah.
in a different format. Sometimes they try to fish, sometimes they try to get into their servers, things like that, or
Mhm.
sometimes they just hit the API endpoint so many times that your server prices goes up. So
Yeah.
that's one of the scenarios they're always afraid of, but you
Mhm.
cannot actually protect it until unless you scale your infrastructure to that level that you can figure out that it's a spammer or a real person,
Yeah.
right? So these kind of scenarios, and definitely phishing is one of the biggest problem where they can
Definitely.
get into your computers and etc. Great stuff. So it took you around 8 months to get from your ideating stage to make your first sales. And would you be able to give us the sense of the size of the business, where you are in terms of number of customers, the size of the team, etc.?
Yeah, so currently there's me running the events. I've got a couple of contractors that I bring in if we're doing a bigger event with customers. So if we've got more than kind of 30 people in the room at the same time, then I bring a couple of contractors in to help me facilitate the sessions. And then
Hmm.
I've got an advisory board of 6 people that are all pretty impressive names actually in the cybersecurity industry that are kind of helping to formulate some of the scenarios that are giving me feedback on it and that are obviously connecting me with people. In terms of customers, I think we've got 4 or 5 customers at the moment. We only
Hmm.
relaunched the business under its new brand a couple of
Hmm.
weeks ago. So I'm literally on back-to-back calls all day today, actually,
Awesome.
talking to new people, and just getting the word out there. So yeah, it was kind of it's a bit of a weird one because the business has been going for nearly 2 years, but because we've rebranded and relaunched, just doing the cyber escape rooms, it's kind of like starting back at the beginning again in some respects. But yeah, some of the customers that we've got was sold to the Ministry of Defence, like I said, talking to Chelmsford City Council, I'm talking to Google, I'm talking to EY, I'm talking to some really big names that I'm kind of having conversations with, which is very exciting. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's just like I said, we're back in the. I feel like I'm back in the very early days of sales again, where I'm like, oh my god, I've got to start from the beginning, with a new proposition, with a new brand, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, but it's fun.
Well, it is fun. Founder's life is all about journey, the experience
Mhm.
you have right during, and I'm already imagining that this could become the next. So I watch a lot Shark Tank from US, and I've recently seen there are two guys who run this kind of events, but their events are more physical, like races and things like jumping around and all. And
Mhm.
they secured around I think they secured more than 10 million in the deal on the Shark Tank, one of the biggest deals they've secured.
Wow.
So gamification and education and learning, if you merge them all together with fun, it could do wonders.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So it's amazing. So so tell me, Amy, do you have like a community around this business? Are you building a community, and how are you doing that?
Yeah, so I've actually got a Discord community. I don't know
Hmm.
if you use Discord, but yeah, I've got a Discord community which we started a couple of years ago. So
Mm,
that's got around 2,500 people in it. Um, a lot of the time, it's just helping people kind of understand the industry, people asking technical questions in there about cybersecurity. I do
mm.
steal quite a few ideas for escape rooms out of there as well, which is fun.
Yeah, yeah, why not?
But yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, like I said, around 2,500 in there now, I think. But yeah, it's just a nice place to go and chat about cyber and see what's
Mm,
going on in the industry, and I throw ideas out there and see what people's responses are around it.
mm.
So yeah, it is really useful having that group of people there.
Awesome, awesome. And have you raised any money yet, or is completely bootstrapped?
No, completely bootstrapped.
Awesome. I love founders who are bootstrapping their stuff because, you know, I understand that sometimes you need a lot of funding to run some startups like, I don't know, maybe bitcoins or related to cryptocurrency, but people who make things from ground, they have actually seen every single stage of growing their it's like your baby, right? You have seen it from the beginning. So it brings me so much joy when I speak with people who are doing it from bootstrap. So can you share a compelling case study that highlights how your company, Cyber Escape Rooms, achieved some sort of like a success or solved their key business challenge for one of your customer? And I would also love to hear about the specific problem they faced and the steps taken to improve and implement your solution so that they can get the value out of it.
Yeah, so we worked with Chelmsford City Council, so they were looking for a team building event for their team because I think even now, COVID's still having an effect on how teams are working together.
Mhm.
So they not and because people are in the office at disparate times, like not everyone's in the office at the same time. I think they found that there just wasn't that much of team cohesion. So we came in
Mhm.
and run a cyber escape room for them, and it wasn't just the technical team, the technical people in the team that we did it with. It was also kind of all the supporting stuff around that as well. So like the purchasing function, some of the HR team, they all joined in with it. And it was a really good way of getting everyone in the room together, getting everyone working together and talking to each
Mm,
other. And we made sure at the beginning of the event to say to everyone, do not sit next to your best friend on the table. Make sure you split yourselves up and sit with different people that you don't usually get to talk to. And
mm,
it was really interesting to see how they all worked together and how everyone, even the people that were kind of reticent at the beginning to get involved in the event, once it
mm,
started going and you could feel that element of competition, then
mm.
it kind of got people working together and talking, and everyone in the room. There was a bit of a buzz in the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, they really enjoyed it. I've actually got a video case study to bring out about them soon. But yeah, that was it. That was a really fun day, and it was really good to see how the non-technical people and the technical people could all work together and actually
Mm.
collaborate on a project like that.
Awesome. So would you be able to throw some light on who is your ICP, who is your ideal customer profile, and because if that's clear, then when we share the episode with our community, there might be some people who fit into your ICP.
Mm. Yeah, so there's I guess there's three kinds of people really. So there's technical teams who potentially don't always who don't always get together. Um,
Mhm.
so cybersecurity teams wanting to do something that's a bit of team building. Because usually what I find with team building activities is it usually revolves around going to the pub, which everyone doesn't always want to do, or sport, which
Mm.
everyone doesn't want to do. But if this is a cybersecurity themed event, so that's great for team building for kind of technical teams. Um, I also like talking to marketing managers who are trying to run events for their customers because this is a super fun event to get customers talking, get them engaged, and get them networking with each other, and as well as with your account management team.
Mhm.
And then the other ones, if you've got an executive board that needs some security awareness training. So they're really good. These are good for, yeah, like board level people to learn a bit about cybersecurity, do something that's a bit hands on and fun. Um, yeah, and it only takes an hour to do it. So it's not like it's a huge full day event.
Hmm. Okay, that's good. So any team who might be not working in the office, or they're working remotely, or even with the same team, but they don't get connected too often, and
Mhm.
then they want to do a team building exercise plus learn about cybersecurity, while doing that.
Yeah.
So that's your activity. That's good. So um, what are the marketing tips or techniques you're using currently to acquire more customers, and what would you suggest our listeners who are someone similar like you, or new founder in the similar space? What sort of techniques or strategies you're using currently to generate more business?
So I pretty much just use LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been building my network on LinkedIn for, how old am I now? I'm 34. So for about 12 years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but only kind of I've only been doing it kind of in earnest over the past kind of 3 or 4. So I've got up to
Mm-hmm.
around 22,000 connections now on LinkedIn, which is great. Um, but I've got a content strategy on LinkedIn where I just share information around what it is that we're doing, mixed in with some fun stuff around like who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always think people buy from people.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and then, yeah, so I do that. I've got a newsletter that I send out once a fortnight, which is called Fool Around and Find Out, because we do hands-on stuff. So every edition of the newsletter's got something like hands-on for you to do. So there's like puzzles for you to work out, or an OSINT challenge or something in it like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a video for you to watch, and then there's something for you to read as well. Because I always think, as we're a cyber education company, we need to take into account the fact that people learn in different ways. So some people like doing hands-on, some people like watching, some people like reading. So I try
Right.
to include something like that in every newsletter. So yeah, we've got a newsletter with like nearly 3,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I've got the Discord community that I use. I try to turn up to events. I run an infosec coffee morning every other week where I just say people can turn up. We'll have a conversation about whatever it is that people want to talk about on the call. So that's pretty relaxed, but that gets kind of the word out there around what we're doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is really all around social media content. That's pretty much how I do all of my sales.
Okay, okay. So your primary strategy is to generate inbound leads through your content marketing. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not considering I've worked in sales for nearly 10 years. I'm not really a big fan of direct sales approaches.
Mm-hmm.
I always find them really, people try to personalize them, but they're never that personalized because you just sit in spamming the same
Yeah.
message out to people. And I always think I've never once replied positively to a cold pitch in my inbox.
Mm-hmm.
Like ever. I can't think of one time that that's ever happened. So
Mm-hmm.
why would my message that I send out be any different?
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
think
And
if I can make it look interesting enough with my content, and then you engage with me in the comments, then I'll have a conversation with you about it, and it's not a cold sale. And
yeah,
it,
definitely, definitely. It's more or less like, I mean, there used to be the days when I think LinkedIn was new, and then you used to outreach with, I don't know, business accounts, and people used to say, "Oh, somebody's messaging me." But now people are aware of it that you're
Mhm.
doing it with the automation. So I rarely reply back to the messages I receive, like, you
Well,
know,
I've
thousands of
put an
messages.
I've put an emoji, so I've got a sunshine at the beginning of my name on LinkedIn because
Yeah.
you'll be able to spot the automation a mile off because it always says hi sunshine emoji, and I'm like, they're
Yeah.
obviously a robot, aren't you? No one would ever write that as a person.
Exactly, exactly. And that is the fun part of it. And that's really good tip actually to save yourself from the automation messages. Awesome, awesome. Great stuff. So okay, so we have spoken about the the customer base and everything. So
Mhm.
would you be able to share some more information around your revenue model, how much you charge your customers, and what kind of revenue streams you have from the same business, so we have more understanding of how you run it on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, sure. So we've got two types of escape rooms. So we've got the bigger ones, and then we've got the mini games. The mini
Mm-hmm.
games, they are priced at 200 to £250 per box, and you can just keep them. I don't run them as events because they take 20 minutes to run, and there's literally no point in me turning up on site for 20
Mm,
minutes.
for 20
And
minutes, yeah.
so yeah, so I just send them out, and they're 200, between 200 and 250 per box. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just cut and shut ones. The larger ones that we do, like I said, we can either run it as an event on site, in which case the price for that starts at around £4,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have up to we can run it three times in one day. So you could
Mm-hmm.
have probably 150, 200 people that are doing the training in one day. So if, yeah, it depends on the size of your event, but yeah, that's that one. Or you can, like I said, you can borrow the boxes. So that's usually around 1,500 quid for the month. Or
Hmm.
you can buy the boxes outright, which is 3 grand. Um, but yeah, it depends. It really depends. I like to talk to customers and find out what it is that they're actually trying to get out of it. So if they're wanting to use security awareness training for a load of people, and I will tell you which way is the most cost effective way of doing it.
Yeah.
Um, and we can be quite, I mean, like I said, we can be quite flexible with it, depending on, some people just want to borrow a box for literally one event for the day. And I'm like, I'm not going to charge you £1,500 just to borrow it for the day. But if
Mm.
you borrow it for the month and you're going to use it multiple times, then that's the price. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm looking at doing a subscription model from January where we'll send you updated boxes throughout the year.
Hmm. Oh, that's nice. And I think that would be the I'm not very uh, I'm not aware of which models actually work for which businesses, but I've heard a subscription model is one of the most favorite one for the founders.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if when you want to sell a business, then obviously you can, your multiplier, if you've got if you've got MRR, is a lot higher than if you're just doing one-off events or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of why I want to go down that subscription model route.
Indeed. Indeed. Great stuff. Okay. And so most of the customers where you conduct the event, are they enterprise customers, or what kind of customers they are? And then what sort of challenges you have faced while making a sale with them? And then once you finished the sale, you conducted the event, what sort of feedback, or positive, or critical feedback, what sort of feedbacks you have received? Would you be able to share this, because this will might help some of our listeners too?
Yeah, so the majority of the clients that I'm talking to and that we're working with are enterprise clients. We
Hmm.
do work with some MSSPs because they've got a lot of customers and they want to run the escape rooms as a customer facing event, which is cool. Um, in terms of challenges around sale, so price usually, but not for the
Hmm.
reason I think. So when I've talked to some people and I've said this is the price, and they've said that's not expensive enough.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, I can put a zero on the end of it if you want me to. That's fine. Tell me how much you want me to, tell me how much money you want to give me. That's fine.
Yeah.
So some people have said it's not expensive enough, so they're not sure whether it's worth it. So it's, I think the biggest challenge that I've got at the moment is trying to price it appropriately, because some people are saying it's too expensive and some people are saying it's not expensive enough, and I'm like, can everyone just, if everyone can pick a side, that would be
Mm.
great, because then I'll know which way to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of just gauging what it is that we're doing. In terms of the feedback that we've got when we run events, it is, and I'm not just saying this for the purpose of this podcast, it has been overwhelmingly positive.
Hmm.
So we ran an event last week. There was a few technical issues, but during the event, we managed to fix the technical issues within a couple of minutes. So people have said, like, yeah, there were technical issues, but I'm not marking you down for that because you fixed them straight away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I've not had any, like I said, I've not really had any negative feedback. I think people have said because of some of the enterprise customers have said they wouldn't be able to roll it out as an entire security awareness program, which I've always said it's not intended to replace your security awareness program. It's there to enhance it and to give you
Hmm.
something a little bit different to do, potentially with just some specific stakeholders, or as part of your October Cyber Awareness Month or whatever. But yeah, it's not intended to replace all of the other training that you might do. It's there as an addition to it. So
Hmm.
yeah, feedback that's kind of says we wouldn't be able to run this with all of our stakeholders because we have like 2,000 people, which makes total sense because it would be a lot of effort.
Yeah.
But I definitely do, like the senior leadership team or the specific IT teams or whatever that would be interested in it. But yeah, I think that's kind of the only negatives that we've received. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I have got a testimonial video coming out soon that will prove that as well. By the way, it's not.
No, there you
Funny
go. That testimonial videos are best. I think the best way to showcase your business, and how the value your business, how it is adding value to your customer, is case studies and testimonials.
Mhm.
Brilliant. People always look at that, especially the as B2B customers.
Yeah.
The enterprise customers, they're very very keen to look at the case studies, because they get to know, oh, somebody like us used it before. They have received the value, and then we can do the
Mhm.
same. Great
Yes.
stuff. Amy, I'm enjoying this interview so much. I want to go and go on, but we are restricted with time and we are heading towards the end. Oh, so before we go towards our lightning round, what I would like to know, throughout your journey and experience, there must have been, valuable lessons that, if you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experience and tell us about one mistake or a setback you encountered along the way that you consider not a regret but a lessons learned, and additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
So I think the best advice I could give anyone is don't be too precious about your ideas. So
Mm,
when I first started the business 2 years ago, we were looking at doing some. I mean, now I look at it, I think it was ridiculous. Some weird recruitment thing. I can't even remember what the full idea was, to be honest. But basically, it was crap, and
mm,
no one was interested in it. But we were like, "This is the best idea ever," and then talked to about 10 people, and they were like, "This is rubbish.
mm,
Why are you doing this?"
mm,
Um, at which point I went, "Okay, it's rubbish, we'll do something else. That's totally fine. I'm not precious about it. I just wanna make
mm,
some money and make this successful. I know I've got loads of ideas floating around in my head, so I'll just
mm,
switch to a different one." And I think that's what a lot of founders struggle with is that they get an idea and they think, "This is the best idea ever, and I'm gonna run with it." And even though you're getting feedback that's saying, "That's not a great idea, no one wants to buy it," they still carry on going down that route. So I think
mhm.
the best advice I can ever give to any founder is don't be so precious about your ideas. Like literally, if it's rubbish, it doesn't matter. Just switch it to something else. But the quicker
Yeah,
you switch it to something else, the more successful you'll end up being. Because if you carry on going down that route of trying to push an idea that no one's really interested in, you're not gonna get
my
anywhere.
response, yeah, definitely, and I totally agree, and that's why you see companies, the big giants nowadays, they have the history of pivoting.
Mm.
Samsung started as a rice and noodle selling company, and now they are in mobile phones. And can you imagine that, right? Like Instagram was something else, Facebook was something else, and now they're
Mhm.
totally different things.
Yeah.
So totally agree with you on this one, and glad that you shared this tip with our yeah, listeners. Great. So okay, so we should wrap up now. We are going into the lightning round.
This is exciting.
I've got six quick fire questions for you, so you just answer them as quickly as possible. You ready? Great.
Right.
Okay.
Let's
Um, Number one, what's one of the best pieces of business advice you have received?
Ooh, oh, that's a difficult one.
Mm,
I think, just keep going. Just keep
mm,
going. It might be difficult, but just keep going. You whatever you're currently going through right now, you'll get through it. So, yeah, if you are in hell, keep walking.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Great. What book which you recommend to our audience and why?
Ooh, I would recommend The 1% Leadership because
Mm,
if you're anything like me, you don't have time to sit and read like 20 pages a day. This is literally in like 2-page chunks and you get a lesson out of it every day.
really? That's
Mm.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Do you
really good.
remember the name of the author?
Andy something. I can't remember. No, I can't remember his surname, but I'll send you it and you can put it in the show notes.
Awesome. 1% leadership, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll put that into my reading list. Great. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
My favorite productivity tool. I use Notion actually. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've heard of it, but yeah, that keeps me on track. It's got tasks and reminders and stuff. And with my brain being a massive scatterbrain, I need to write everything down all the time. So I've got a big list of things to do in there.
Awesome. Perfect. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
So I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think the next business that I start will probably be a cyber marketing business because that is the thing that I like doing the best,
Mm,
and I think I'm pretty all right at it.
awesome. Great. And what's an interesting or a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Ooh, all right. This is a weird one. Brian May from Queen once sent me a birthday card.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
How come? How do you know him?
my uncle was filming him because my uncle's a cameraman and he was doing some filming with him just near my birthday. And he
Uh-huh.
got Brian May to send me a birthday card, which I thought was brilliant.
Awesome. Now, you must have it framed somewhere, right? Great stuff, great stuff. Amy, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story and unpacking last few months of building this business and some of the ups and downs. If people want to check out the Cyber Escape Room Corporation and if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, if you just go to the website, it's www.cyberescaperoom.co, or find me on LinkedIn. It's Amy Stokes-Waters.
Awesome. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and impactful work you're doing through the escape rooms. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Founders Podcast.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all for tuning into our episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Amy insightful and inspiring. If you want to get in touch with Amy, just search her name on LinkedIn and you will be able to get in touch. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.